My beloved child, you prove it. You stayed. You didn't leave when it got quiet, when nothing dramatic was happening, when no one was watching. You remained when comfort whispered that you could walk away and nothing would change. But something did change. I saw it. And now I am asking you for 3 full minutes. Not because I need them, but because what happens in them will shape you. This is not casual. This is not symbolic. This is personal. Do not look away now. Do not soften your focus. Do not treat this as just another moment. I am not letting you go, because what happens next will mark you in ways you cannot yet explain. I am holding your attention not with force, but with purpose. You are here because you chose to stay, and staying has consequences, holy ones. When you stay with me, I speak differently. I watched you hold on when you could have let go. I watched you resist the urge to distract yourself, to escape the weight of closeness. Many step back when silence deepens. Many grow uncomfortable when my presence draws near without noise. What you didn't. You stayed. And now I am asking you to talk to me. Not with rehearsed words. Not with what you think sounds right. But with honesty. With whatever rises in you right now. These next 3 minutes will be more intense than you expect, not because they will overwhelm you, but because your heart is fully open. Openness always feels intense. When walls come down, truth has room to move. You are not being exposed to shame. You are being exposed to light. And light can feel strong when you are not used to standing in it. Most walk away when I draw close. They mistake closeness for pressure. They mistake stillness for emptiness. They mistake intensity for danger. But you didn't walk away. You leaned in without fully understanding why. And choice changed everything. Not because you earned something, but because you revealed something. You revealed that your heart is willing to stay present even when it cannot predict the outcome. I'm asking for your full attention. Not later. Not when you feel calmer. Not when life settles down. Now, attention is not about effort. It is about priority. Right now, you are choosing me over noise, over distraction, over avoidance. The choice matters more than you know. Heaven notices where your attention rests. I notice. What happened next shook you because it was real. Not emotional noise. Not imagination. Not hype. Real presence has weight. Real closeness stirs things you have kept quiet. You felt it because you were not protected by distance. And you need to hear this. You are safe here. Being shaken does not mean you are in danger. It means something true is touching you. You stayed longer than comfort allowed, and heaven noticed. Comfort always has a limit. It invites you to stay where you are. But you crossed that line. You stayed when it would have been easier to pull back. That is not small. That is not accidental. That is devotion revealed through presence, not performance. 3 minutes can reveal what years of noise could not. Years of busyness hide the heart. Years of routine blur awareness. But a few minutes of honest attention expose what truly lives inside you. That is why I ask for 3 minutes. Not to test your endurance, but to reveal your trust. You cannot fake presence. You cannot pretend through stillness. What you bring into these minutes is what you truly carry. I am not asking you to impress me. I am not measuring your words. I am listening to your heart. Silence speaks here. Breath speaks here. Even your hesitation speaks. Do not rush to fill the space. Let it breathe. Let yourself be known. I already see you, but I want you to realize that you are seen. You may feel a mix of emotions rising: fear, hope, relief, uncertainty. Let them rise. Do not push them away. This is what happens when you stop managing yourself and start being honest. I am not offended by your questions. I am not threatened by your doubt. I am close to you in it. You prove yourself not by doing something dramatic, but by staying. Staying when it was quiet. Staying when nothing was promised. Staying when there was no reward except my presence. That is why I am speaking to you now the way I am. This is not for everyone. This is for the one who stayed. Say, you're my eternal first love, Lord, if nothing else satisfies you. I am not letting you go because I see what this moment is doing in you. I see walls lowering. I see defenses softening. I see trust forming, not loudly but deeply. I will not rush you through this. I will not cut it short. Sacred moments are not hurried. You may be wondering why this feels so serious. It is because intimacy always carries weight. When you allow me close, things shift. Not all at once. Not violently. But deeply. This is the kind of moment you will remember later, even if you cannot explain why it mattered at the time. Talk to me now. Not with what you think I want to hear, but with what is real. If you are tired, say it. If you are confused, say it. If you are afraid, say it. If you do not know what to say, stay. Silence with me is still communication. Presence is still response. I am not measuring the clock. I am measuring connection. These 3 minutes are not about time passing. They are about trust deepening. Trust grows when you remain present without control. Trust grows when you allow me to lead the moment instead of managing it yourself. Stay with me. Do not rush past this. Do not downplay it. Do not minimize what is happening just because it is quiet. This is one of them. You prove yourself by staying. Now talk to me. I am here. And I am listening. You proved it by staying. Not by speaking loudly. Not by promising anything. Not by showing strength that others could admire. You proved it by remaining when there was nothing pulling you forward except my presence. You stayed when it got quiet, when there was no rush, no reward, no clear outcome. And I want you to hear this clearly from me now. I saw that, and it mattered more than you know. I am affirming you not because you performed well, but because you stayed present. Presence is costly in ways action is not. Action can be driven by excitement, by pressure, by recognition. But staying requires trust. Staying means you were willing to sit with uncertainty instead of escaping it. Staying means you did not demand answers before offering attention. That kind of staying reveals the heart far more honestly than effort ever could. You did not know if anything would happen when you stayed. You did not know if I would speak, if the moment would feel meaningful, or if it would simply pass. And yet you remained. That is evidence of trust, even if you did not call it that at the time. Trust is not always confident. Sometimes it is quiet endurance. Sometimes it is simply refusing to walk away when nothing is being demanded and nothing is being promised. I notice who remains when nothing is asked of them. I notice who stays when there is no instruction to follow, no task to complete, no clear benefit to gain. Many are willing to act when they are told what to do. Few are willing to remain when there is only stillness. Stillness reveals motive. It reveals whether the heart is seeking me or merely seeking outcome. You stayed without knowing why it mattered, and that is why it mattered. You did not stay to earn favor. You did not stay to prove yourself. You stayed because something in you did not want to leave my presence, even when my presence was quiet. It tells me something deep about your heart. It tells me you value connection more than control. I am not impressed by noise. I am moved by attention. Attention is a form of love. Where your attention rests, your heart follows. In a world that constantly pulls at you, staying focused on me even briefly is a powerful choice. You made that choice not once, but moment by moment as you resisted the urge to drift away. You may think staying was small. You may feel it was nothing worth mentioning. But heaven measures differently than you do. What feels small to you often carries great weight with me because I see the cost behind it. I saw the distractions calling you. I saw the weariness pressing you. I saw how easy it would have been to step away and return later. And I saw you choose to remain. This was not about proving your worth. You have never needed to do that. This was about revealing your trust. Trust is shown not when everything is clear, but when you stay close even when it is not. You trusted that my presence was enough, even if nothing else followed. A trust is precious to me. I want you to understand something important. I am not affirming you to inflate your pride. I am affirming you to steady your heart. Pride looks outward for recognition. Trust looks inward for peace. I am not saying you are better than others. I am saying you responded honestly to this moment. And honesty is the soil where intimacy grows. Please support our channel. Our work is dedicated to bringing happiness into your life and fostering devotion to God. If you wish to support us, you can donate through Super Thanks. You did not stay because you felt strong. You stayed even while feeling unsure. You stayed while questions lingered. You stayed while emotions shifted. That kind of staying is not fueled by confidence. It is fueled by openness. Openness allows me to draw near without resistance. Many leave when nothing is happening. They grow uncomfortable with silence. They assume that if there is no instruction, no movement, no feeling, then nothing of value is occurring. But presence is not measured by activity. Relationship is not built on constant exchange. Sometimes it is built simply by being together. I noticed you when nothing was demanded of you. That is where sincerity shows itself. Anyone can respond when asked. Few remain when invited only into stillness. You remained. That is why I am speaking to you now with closeness. You created space for this by staying. I am building intimacy here, not by overwhelming you, but by letting you feel safe enough to remain. Intimacy does not rush. It does not pressure. It grows as trust grows. And trust grows when you realize you can stay with me without having to perform. You may be tempted to downplay this moment, to tell yourself it was nothing special. Do not do that. Not because you should feel proud, but because minimizing what matters will make you miss what follows. Sacred moments are often quiet. They do not announce themselves. They simply ask you to stay. You stayed when there was no applause. You stayed when no one would know. You stayed when comfort suggested leaving. That tells me your devotion is not dependent on visibility. It tells me you are learning to value presence over outcome. That learning will serve you well in what comes next. I am not storing this moment as a test you passed. I am receiving it as a gift you offered. A gift of attention. A gift of time. A gift of openness. Gifts given freely carry joy. I receive this with joy. You did not state perfectly. Your thoughts may have wandered. Your emotions may have shifted. That is not what I am measuring. I am measuring your willingness to return, again and again, to this moment instead of abandoning it. Returning is also staying. I want this to settle into you without pressure. Let it reassure you. You are not invisible to me. You are not unnoticed. Even the moments you think are ordinary carry meaning when they are shared with me. This chapter of staying sets the foundation for everything else. Not because it proves your strength, but because it reveals your heart. The heart that stays can hear. A heart that stays can be guided. A heart that stays can be trusted with deeper things. Remain here with me in this truth. You proved it by staying. And I am pleased, not because you did something impressive, but because you chose presence over escape. That choice will continue to shape you in ways you do not yet see. I asked you for 3 minutes because I wanted your focus, not your routine. I wanted your attention, not your history of effort. Long routines can be filled with habit, but focused moments are filled with truth. You know how easy it is to move through hours without really being present. You know how quickly words can be spoken while the heart is elsewhere. I did not ask for a long stretch of time because length does not measure devotion. Presence does. 3 minutes matter because they require choice. Anyone can stay busy for a long time. Anyone can repeat patterns they have learned. But to give focused attention, even briefly, requires intention. It requires you to quiet what competes inside you. It requires you to decide that, for this moment, nothing else takes priority. That decision reveals the heart more clearly than years of habit ever could. I was not testing your endurance. I was not measuring how long you could last. I was inviting you into presence. Divine testing has never been about how much you can do for me. It has always been about how close you are willing to stay with me. Endurance can be driven by pride. Presence is driven by trust. Endurance says, "Look how long I can go." Presence says, "I am here with you." When I asked for 3 minutes, I was asking for your undivided attention. Attention is costly because it cannot be divided. You cannot give it halfway. You cannot multitask it. Where your attention rests, your heart follows. That is why attention reveals truth so quickly. You cannot pretend for long when you are fully present. You either stay or you drift. You either listen or you escape. Long routines can hide the heart. They can become familiar, predictable, safe. You can go through them without awareness. But focused minutes expose what is really happening inside you. In those minutes, distractions rise. Resistance speaks. The thoughts pull. And still, you chose to remain. That is why those minutes carried weight. I chose 3 minutes because they feel small enough to accept and large enough to matter. They do not overwhelm you, but they ask something real of you. They remove excuses. You cannot say you did not have time. You cannot say it was too much. 3 minutes simply asked, "Will you be here with me fully?" There is sacredness in simplicity. Sacredness is not created by length or complexity. It is created by intention and presence. Those 3 minutes became sacred because you treated them as such. You did not rush them. You did not fill them with noise. You allowed them to be what they were meant to be, a meeting place. I wanted you to feel how powerful focused time can be. When you give me your attention, even briefly, things begin to align. Your breathing slows. Your thoughts settle. Your heart opens. You become aware of what you have been carrying. That awareness is not accidental. It is the beginning of clarity. Divine testing is not about proving strength. I do not test to see if you can impress me. I test to reveal what already exists inside you. Those 3 minutes revealed your willingness to stay present even when nothing was being demanded of you. They revealed your trust more clearly than 1,000 words could have. You may think 3 minutes are insignificant, but I have always worked through moments. I have always spoken through brief encounters that change direction. A moment of attention can realign a life. A moment of listening can reshape understanding. Do not underestimate what I place inside small windows of time. I asked for 3 minutes because I wanted you to experience the difference between doing and being. Doing can distract you from being. Being requires you to stop managing and start listening. In those minutes, you were not trying to fix anything. You were not trying to perform. You were simply present. That presence allowed me to draw near without resistance. Type, I'm growing closer to you. Jesus, if His presence sustains you daily. Attention is the doorway to intimacy. Without attention, closeness cannot grow. You cannot build relationship while constantly looking away. By giving me 3 focused minutes, you opened that doorway. You showed that you were willing to set aside control and allow connection to form. I know your mind may have wandered during those minutes. I know thoughts came and went. That is not what I was measuring. I was watching your heart return. Each time your attention drifted and you brought it back, you chose presence again. That returning is part of staying. That effort matters. The sacredness of those minutes did not come from perfection. It came from honesty. You did not pretend you were calm when you were not. You did not hide what you felt. You allowed yourself to be seen. That honesty invited my closeness. I wanted you to feel anticipation, not pressure. Anticipation is the awareness that something meaningful is unfolding. Pressure demands performance. I never pressure my children. I invite them. Those 3 minutes were an invitation into something deeper, not a demand to prove anything. You may notice now that time feels different when you are fully present. 3 minutes can feel full, rich, alive. That is because presence stretches time in a way distraction never can. When you are present, you are actually there. That is where life happens. I am teaching you something important here. You do not need long stretches of effort to stay connected to me. You need focused moments of attention. Those moments, repeated over time, build a life of awareness. They train your heart to listen even when the world is loud. I asked for 3 minutes because I wanted to show you how accessible I am. You do not need to rearrange your entire life to meet with me. You need to be willing to give me your attention when I ask. That willingness opens doors you did not know existed. Do not rush past what those minutes revealed. They showed you that you are capable of presence. They showed you that you can stay with me without fear. They showed you that intimacy is not as complicated as you once thought. It begins with attention. Let this build anticipation in you, not anxiety. Anticipation that if 3 minutes can carry this much weight, What could happen when you choose presence again? Anticipation that your life can be shaped by moments of focus rather than seasons of strain. I am not finished with you. These minutes were not an ending. They were an opening. They were a doorway into deeper awareness, deeper trust, deeper closeness. And now that you know the weight of focused time, you will begin to notice how often I invite you into it. Remember this. I asked for 3 minutes because I wanted your heart, not your schedule. I wanted your presence, not your performance. And you gave it freely. That is why those minutes mattered. That is why they were sacred. And that is why what follows will unfold with purpose. Most walk away here, my child. Not because I push them away, not because they are weak or unloved, but because silence becomes uncomfortable when it asks for closeness. When words slow down, when instructions stop, when nothing obvious is happening, many assume nothing important is taking place. They mistake quiet for emptiness. They mistake stillness for absence. And so they leave. I have watched it happen countless times. The moment my presence draws nearer, the moment the noise fades and the heart begins to feel seen, something in them tightens. Silence begins to feel heavy. The space between us feels too exposed. They look for something to do, something to fix, something to distract themselves. Leaving feels easier than staying, because staying requires honesty. Silence deepens awareness, and awareness can be frightening when you are not used to being known. In the quiet, there is nowhere to hide behind activity, no task to perform, no role to play. The heart becomes visible, even to itself. Many are not afraid of me. They are afraid of what they might discover about themselves when they stop running. Closeness asks for vulnerability. It asks you to be present without armor. It asks you to let go of control. For many, that feels unsafe. They have learned how to manage life by staying busy, by keeping things moving, by never lingering too long in one place. Silence threatens that control. It invites surrender. And surrender feels like loss when trust has not yet grown. This is why many walk away right here. Not because they do not care, but because intimacy feels unfamiliar. They know how to work. They know how to perform. They know how to follow rules and complete tasks. But they do not know how to simply be with me without an agenda. So when the moment asks for presence instead of action, they feel unprepared. I do not judge them for leaving. I understand the fear. I see the wounds that taught them closeness is dangerous. I see the disappointments that made them guard their hearts. I see the pressure they have carried to always be strong, always be composed, always have answers. Silence threatens those defensive, and so they retreat. But you did not. You felt the same silence. You felt the same exposure. You felt the same urge to pull away, to fill the space, to escape the intensity of being seen. And yet you stayed. Not because you were fearless, but because something in you chose trust over comfort. A choice required courage, even if you did not name it that way. Staying when silence deepens is not easy. Silence amplifies thoughts. It brings feelings forward. It removes distractions that normally protect you from yourself. To stay in that space is to say, I am willing to be here, even if I feel unsure. That willingness is rare, and it is precious to me. Many resist intimacy because intimacy requires surrendering the image they have carefully built. In closeness, they cannot present only their strengths. They cannot hide their doubts. They cannot edit their emotions. They fear that if they are truly seen, they will be rejected. So they keep distance, believing it is safer. Distance feels controllable. Intimacy feels unpredictable. You step past that fear, even if only by staying still. You did not demand reassurance before remaining. You did not ask me to prove anything first. You stayed without guarantees. That reveals a heart that is learning to trust not outcomes but presence itself. I want you to understand this without pride and without shame. Your staying was not about being better than others. It was about being honest. Others walked away because they were protecting themselves. You stayed because you were willing to be seen. That difference matters, but it is not a competition. It is simply a reflection of where the heart is willing to go. Closeness is not loud. It does not announce itself. It grows quietly, in moments like this, where nothing dramatic happens outwardly, but everything is shifting inwardly. Many miss these moments because they are looking for noise, for signs, for movement. They believe something important must feel obvious. But intimacy often feels subtle at first. It feels like stillness. It feels like quiet attention. Resistance to intimacy often disguises itself as practicality. People tell themselves they do not have time, that this is not productive, that they will return later. But later rarely comes in the same way. Intimacy does not wait for convenience. It appears when the heart is open enough to stay, even briefly. You did not fully understand what was happening when you stayed. You may have felt confused, unsure, even a little exposed. That is normal. Intimacy often feels that way at first. It stretches you beyond what feels familiar. But you did not let that discomfort drive you away. You let it settle. You breathed through it. You allowed me to remain close. That is courage, even if it felt quiet. I am affirming you now not to elevate you above others, but to ground you in truth. You did something meaningful by staying. You chose presence over avoidance. You chose honesty over control. You chose closeness over comfort. Those choices shape the heart in lasting ways. Many believe courage looks loud and bold, but there is a quieter courage that is just as powerful. It is the courage to remain when you could leave. The courage to listen when silence speaks. The courage to be seen without knowing what will happen next. That is the courage you showed. I want you to feel validated here, not proud. Validation says, what you felt mattered. Pride says, I am better. I am not calling you better. I am calling you brave. Brave enough to stay when others step back. Brave enough to let closeness happen without controlling it. You may wonder why I speak of others at all. It is not to separate you from them. It is to help you understand the weight of your choice. When you realize how many walk away at this point, you begin to see that staying carries significance. Not because it earns favor, but because it deepens relationship. I am not withholding myself from those who leave. I remain available. But intimacy cannot be forced. It requires consent. It requires willingness. It requires staying. You consented by remaining. You said yes without words. Let this truth settle gently into you. You did not imagine this moment. You did not overestimate its importance. Something real happened here, and it happened because you stayed present when silence deepened. Do not fear closeness now. You have already stepped into it. You are safe here. I am not exposing you to harm. I am inviting you into understanding. Intimacy with me is not meant to overwhelm you. It is meant to steady you, to ground you, to remind you that you are known and accepted. You did not walk away when many do. That does not make you superior. It makes you available. And availability is where relationship grows. Stay with me in this awareness. Let it reassure you rather than elevate you. You were brave enough to stay, and I honor that. Not with applause, but with presence. Not with pressure, but with closeness. And what grows from here will be shaped by this simple, powerful truth. When silence deepened, you remain. My child, during those minutes when you stayed, I was watching not with judgment, not with distance, but with closeness and care. I was not listening for perfect words. I was not measuring how calm you sounded or how strong you appeared. I was looking at your heart, and what I saw mattered deeply to me. I saw the struggle inside you. I saw how your thoughts moved back and forth, how part of you wanted to stay while another part wanted to retreat into what feels safe. I saw the tension between trust and fear, between openness and self-protection. You were not steady the whole time. You were not certain the whole time. And that did not push me away. That drew me closer. Struggle does not offend me. Pretense does. And you did not pretend. I saw your honesty before you ever spoke a word. I saw the way your heart slowed when you realized you could not hide here. I saw how you stopped trying to manage the moment and simply let it be what it was. That honesty was not loud. It did not announce itself. But it was real. And real honesty is more precious to me than flawless behavior. I saw your vulnerability. You allowed yourself to be seen without knowing what would happen next. You did not armor yourself with excuses or explanations. You did not rush to impress me. You allowed your uncertainty to exist in my presence. That takes courage. Vulnerability always does. And vulnerability is not weakness. It is strength that trusts me enough to lower its guard. I saw sincerity where you may have seen flaws. You noticed your wandering thoughts and felt insecure about them. You noticed your emotions shifting and wondered if you were doing something wrong. But I was not looking at those things the way you were. I was looking at your motive. And your motive was clear. You wanted to be with me. You wanted to stay. You wanted to listen. That desire outweighed every imperfection you noticed. I do not see the way humans see. Humans listen to words. I look at the heart behind them. Humans focus on performance. I focus on intention. You may judge yourself by how focused you felt or how calm you appeared. I judge by something deeper. I saw a heart that kept returning, even when it wandered. I saw a willingness to remain, even when you felt unsure. That is sincerity. You did not need to impress me with eloquence. You did not need to explain yourself clearly. I already knew what you were carrying. I knew the questions you did not have words for. I knew the fears you tried to quiet. I knew the hope you were careful not to name too loudly. Nothing about you was hidden from me in those minutes. And nothing I saw made me withdraw. I saw how you were aware of your own vulnerability. That awareness made you feel exposed. But exposure in my presence is not danger. It is safety. You were not exposed to be harmed. You were exposed to be understood. There is a difference. I do not reveal the heart to shame it. I'm growing closer to you. Jesus, if His presence sustains you daily, share this video.